SCP is an ever-expanding universe filled with monsters being kept safe by heroes containing them with some sites and with many sites and some more notable sites like 14, 7, and 01. But what happened to Site 13? Okay, it was going to be built in Alaska, but was ultimately scrapped in favor of Site 19. But a strange, undocumented facility appeared in the middle of Texas. Wasn't there before, and if this strange facility was part of the Foundation, it would be documented. It's surrounded by Alaskan plants, but they're soon to know this is Site 13. But from a dimension it was actually finished in. But why is it in our world? And why Texas? Shouldn't it be in Alaska? Quite the mystery. It still has power despite the abandoned and damaged state. We have some operatives heading in and exploring, and they find plenty of things written on the walls. One of them being just bleed. This one will make more sense later. According to the logs, a group of people found it. It killed someone called Daly. Crawled into his mouth and caused blood to come out everywhere. 2 of it come out, one sucking up Daly's blood and the other one going back inside using his corpse as a puppet, only to get shot several times, quite possibly killing the creature inside. They also shoved a person called Jones down an elevator shaft. Then it ends with, I think I just heard them start up Thresher. There's also a cognito hazard somewhere here, maybe related to the writing on the walls. Our SCP operatives head in. Group D12, they turn on the lights and head to an elevator. They got to has one light which leads them to finding sludge. The floor they got on, the floor. They at first think it's mud. They decide to keep a sample to bring with them. Command tells them to try to stay out of it as much as possible. They head further and end up with a furniture barricade. Corpses on the other side. One moves. Something else is here. Something snake-like crawled out of one's mouth. Maybe one of the things that killed Daly. Try to head back to the elevator with the samples they gathered, but the hallway doesn't bring them to the same place. A dead end. The group gets separated as well. One part of it breaks down a door to try and find another way out, and on the other side, there's a humanoid being with burning ears. There's a white flash breaking the cameras, but communications can still hear the D12's surroundings. There's the sound of burning meat and no team members respond until 2 and 1 reconnect. They're a sort of utility room. They both seem dead, though. They decide to send another team in. D12 is completely gone. But maybe our next smaller team will survive. Enter Y24. There's 1, 2, and Captain in this group. They're exploring a power station for the site. They have to find a way in. No explosives allowed. A site director gives them a code to open locked doors. They can't see any damage to the cores they're inspecting with their eyes, but they can with thermal lenses, so they send micro drones to get a closer look. There's 12 total, the majority damaged. They use the micro drone to gather some of that sludge all over Site-13. They find corpses like other on the site, blood leaking everywhere. They head down to find the body pit, but this is unsuccessful as they get attacked by something. Send in a ground drone next. It tries to take an elevator to basement 15, but can only make it to basement 8 due to power failure. It is dark on this floor, which this floor is for Euclid class SCPs. The drone finds nothing for a while until it sees a humanoid entity, which does not notice the drone. So the drone follows it. It picks up some sludge and moves out of the drone's sight. Trying to follow more, the drone finds a containment cell for SCP-324, also known as Eulogy Shrub. It is labeled with the termination date. Note that terminations for SCPs are rather uncommon. The drone opens the door and finds the thing that burned D12. It then enters another cell containing a dead Jack Wright. Yes, he achieved his goal. Somehow it finds itself on the 5th floor and finds ruined offices. Finds a working computer and sends all data on the computer to Site Command. This has been our most successful investigation yet. Next, they send in another human group, Z9, also known as the Mole Rats. There's 5 members, the captain and numbers 1 through 4. And as experienced members, these guys got experienced. If a drone could last there, they can too. They have gear filtering cognito hazards out of their sight too. They explore a bit and they question what the sludge is. It's runoff and other material mixed together. All we know so far. They find corpses, of course, like all expeditions in. But not all human. 4 falls into a hole, and as Captain 2 and 1 go find a way down to 4, 3 waits above. 4 can hear something, but he brushes it off as pipes. 4 gets attacked by the monster. The monster puppet brings 4's corpse and is brought by it. Monster brings 4's corpse to a room built to have a very large hole and built to have a very large creature inside of it. Camera footage is cut out after it consumes 4. Whatever that thing was, though, it's important. All group members are seemingly dead, from what we know. Logs received are labeling all SCPs as non-human, at most humanoid in shape. They also imply mass incineration. Let's get back to the narrative. After all this data, it is decided to send more people in. Mobile Task Force Apollo 3, aka Game Wardens, is up next. These ones we have consistent names for. Ross is the leader, along with Noah, Ohalo, and Vigo. Ross gives his team a rundown and tells them to shoot anything that moves. They find a door and try a thermal camera on it and decide not to break it down. A while later, they find their first light that didn't come from them. But when they go to it, they find a pit. They step a black pit. They step on the pit and it just looks like a pit. It's that sludge. It starts rising, gets Houston, loses his legs, but they carry him up somehow. Somehow, though, he can stand even without legs. The group continues exploring. They find what looks like a human corpse merged into a wall, and something is messing with their minds as they don't see him to realize it's dead and talk to it like it's alive. After the gear filters out the cognito hazard, a strange, transparent, I think that's what I wrote, creature attacks that's distorting things around it. Distorts Vigo's arm and a reality anchor is thrown at it, and it becomes a very disfigured, even mutilated corpse. The anchor fixes Vigo's arm, leaving only redness and pain on it. Noah is seemingly in the wall like the other corpse. One less group member, they have their first loss. But also, help is on its way for our remaining group members. Samsara, a group of 4 very powerful clones. They just have to keep on until Samsara arrives, and our current group finds a TV flickering on with a figure in an empty room. Bobble the Clown. Bobble is an SCP that would broadcast to children only when adults aren't watching and can convince them to do bad things. They communicate with Bobble, who is now broken, alone, and defeated, and a tad bit more insane. He can tell they're not from here. He gives us some history of the site. Emerson, a site employee, had all SCPs brought to Site 13 and grinded them up. Probably even killed SCP-682. Bobble calls the ones that were experimented on and tortured the lucky ones, like him. But Bobble is on our side this time, and our group members now know a lot of what happened here, and know that Emerson needs to die. To suffer. What about that sludge? It's the remains of those destroyed SCPs. An unholy mesh of anomalies. Back to the story. Find multiple survivors, about 20 to 30 people, including some of the mole rats who are still alive. They hide with the other survivors. Hopefully Samsara arrives soon. If you think this was a lot, we're just getting started. Samsara is made up of Irantu, Munru, Onru, and Nonku. They have many physical enhancements and are not to be messed with. They enter via a drainage tunnel and see many bodies, at least 20, burned up and decaying. The group splits in half, and one duo, Onru and Irantu, find an incinerator, one for killing anomalies. Onru and Nonku hit a dead end and reunite with the others quickly. They activate the incinerator, which is pretty advanced, perhaps over-engineered. Sludge created is dropped into a pit. They go in as well. Leeches start coming through the wall in the bottom. The leeches drink the sludge and grow. They take one leech to use to try to find where they're coming from. Other than the wall, of course. They plant something in its brain that maps out the whole facility, too. They head through a very cold server room and a creature. The writing on the walls tells them not to look at it, but we do know what it is. It's humanoid with many arms and a disc-shaped head. Has many golden yet broken chains on its arms. There is pretty much burnt to a crisp human that's somehow alive and suffering stuck to its face. They try to blow up the creature. They fail. This charred human that attached to the beast is Emerson. Unfortunately, Nanku lost an arm while escaping. Thankfully, she has replacements. They find Hollis, current leader of the mole rats after the other one died, probably, is relieved to see Samsara has arrived. Game wardens, mole rats, and Samsara all in the facility together. I should mention Willow, the only other surviving member of the mole rats. Plan on temporarily disabling Thresher, the machine causing the constant shifting, to get a stable escape route. They travel in a large group, the survivors that are still there under the protection of our task forces in the middle. In front of them, on both sides, an entire task force. Well, what's left of them. They exterminate any leech that crosses their path. And some encounter that the entity that the drone captured on footage that was drawing on the wall. Monroe and Nanku open fire on the creature. They kill it. A hole forms underneath. A creature covered in red eyes with a mouthful of many teeth arises and calls forth many leeches as it devours the previous entity. They need to find another route to get away from that monstrosity. Monroe and Nanku stay back for a moment due to one being damaged and both needing to survive. Crystal butterflies come from a vent as the group crouches to avoid them. Rontu exterminates them, getting wounded in the process. The door opens and they hear Bobble. He somehow opened it from his cell. Stark, and with his visor, Ross sees a machine. They see creatures on the ceiling feeding off its power. They decide to try and shock them by adding more power before the monstrosity finds them. En route, who bravely runs to the machine while the others run away. Leeches spill through the very hole the monster creates. They open and fire on the leeches. The room shakes and they lose Vigo. This was caused by en route deactivating Thresher. They find a very angry and psychotic robot. They throw grenades at it, breaking it. The group reunites with Nanku and Monroe. They find a hole leading to the monster, allowing them to get a better look at the red-eyed beast. But they must make another escape. They use cryonics to get it past it. Literally uses the cryonics section of the facility. Follows them through. A flaming creature comes from a door they opened. The Gate Guardian. Will help them fight the beast. Another deer-like creature with a human face appears too, both now fighting the beast. But these two aren't completely on their side, as the Gate Guardian also kills Nanku. And the deer thing kills Arantu. Hollis stays behind to do something while the others go for the elevator. Crap, they also left Enru behind. Enru and Hollis are together, actually, and Hollis seems to have gone nuts and is firing everywhere. They were attacking Thresher in order to end this all. And they succeeded, but did not live to tell the tale. The Samsara team is able to be brought back due to their very nature, leading to very few casualties and us keeping that team. Only notable interview is with someone that worked there, Dr. Scott. He was moved to Site 13 as they continued expanding the site. They made a mistake and pissed off the government, which cut off plenty of funding. They made a deal with the GOC, Global Occult Coalition, which, gosh darn it, coalition's a hard word for me, which I agree with for some of them, which tends to just kill SCPs instead, which I agree with for some of them, but that's not the point. They contained to kill. They ended up removing site after site until there was only Site 13. People kept getting sent there alongside anomalies, and after an incident with Dr. Bright, Emerson is assigned site director. Started with the GOC, the mass extermination of anomalies. They removed the ethics community, which is probably the reason they hadn't killed certain anomalies and instead tortured them, was against what Emerson and the GOC were doing. Multiple guards beat her up because of this. She formed a plan that day, and Thresher was activated. And as a response from the GOC, leading to where we are now. Well, thanks for watching. Comment if you want to see me discuss more SCPs and also to help fight the algorithm. Peace.